While the entire bar is screaming at a television screen, you feel absolutely nothing. You are watching grown adults have full emotional breakdowns over 11 strangers chasing a ball, and your heart rate hasn't changed a single beat. You aren't a sociopath, and you aren't missing out on the fun. You are actually looking at a glitch in human evolution that neuroscience is finally starting to explain. See, for the superfan, that jersey isn't polyester. It is a tribal flag. Your brain is running ancient software designed for the Stone Age, where being kicked out of the group meant death by saber-toothed tiger. When a fan watches their team, the brain doesn't see a game, it sees a war for survival. This triggers a massive flood of oxytocin. That is the exact same bonding chemical released during childbirth and breastfeeding. It artificially tricks the brain into believing that the quarterback is your literal brother and the goalkeeper is your child. That is why they say, "We won the game," when they have been sitting on a couch eating nachos for 3 hours. But wait, it gets much darker. If sports were just about love and family, you wouldn't see fans punching walls when they lose. This is where the addiction kicks in. A 2019 study exposed the mechanics of why sports are harder to quit than cigarettes for some people. It is not about the win, it is about the uncertainty. It is called intermittent reinforcement. If a rat in a lab presses a lever and gets food every single time, it eventually gets bored and walks away. But if the lever only works 50% of the time, that rat will press the lever until it starves to death. Sports are the ultimate variable reward system. The unpredictability of the outcome lights up the brain's ventral striatum exactly like a slot machine. A blowout win is boring, a crushing loss is painful, but a close game? That is a dopamine jackpot. The fan's brain is being hijacked by the same neural pathways that drive gambling addiction. They are chemically dependent on the anxiety of almost losing. But then there is you. You look at the screen, you see the score, and your dopamine baseline stays completely flat. You don't get the oxytocin spike of the tribe, and you don't get the dopamine rush of the gamble. For years, psychologists thought this was just a personality preference, like preferring tea over coffee. They were wrong. New research suggests this immunity to vicarious competition isn't a choice you make. It is a missing line of code in your DNA. But let's cut open the biology, because University of Chicago researchers found it's not just an attitude problem, it's a hardware difference. Variations in specific dopamine receptor genes literally predict whether you scream at a touchdown or stare blankly at the screen. Your brain might not be wired to get that chemical hit from vicarious victory, and that missing chemical link explains a massive psychological phenomenon called BIRGing, basking in reflected glory. Watch a die-hard fan closely. When the team wins, the pronouns shift instantly. It becomes "we won." They absorb the success into their own ego, inflating their self-esteem through an achievement they had zero hand in. But the second the team loses, watch the switch. It's Corfing, cutting off reflected failure. Suddenly it's "they played terrible." It's a psychological survival tactic, but if you don't care about sports, you don't need that roller coaster. Your self-concept is stable. It's independent. You don't need a franchise to win a trophy to feel like you accomplished something on a Sunday. So does that make non-fans cold? Are they broken because they don't cry when a quarterback retires? A 2021 study suggests absolutely not. It's simply a matter of empathy allocation. You have a finite tank of emotional fuel. While fans burn theirs on tribal rivalries, non-fans are redirecting that exact same intensity elsewhere. They pour it into aesthetic experiences, art, complex narratives, or direct, tangible relationships. You aren't lacking passion, you're just investing it in a different asset class. Of course, we can't ignore the defense mechanisms. For some, disliking sports is a valid shield against toxic competitiveness, or those phantom memories of being picked last in middle school gym class. It's a rejection of a hierarchy based on physical dominance. But stripped of the trauma and the genetics, this divide goes deeper than hobbies. It forces us to ask a terrifying question. The ultimate difference between the fanatic and the indifferent isn't entertainment. It comes down to one profound difference: how your specific neural pathways process and experience the very concept of meaning. See, for a fan, that buzzer beater isn't just a ball going through a hoop, it's a mythology. It's the hero's journey condensed into 48 minutes. They see an underdog defying the odds and feel a rush of dopamine because their brain syncs up with that narrative arc. But if you don't care about sports, you look at that same screen and you don't see a story. You see entropy. You see variables you can't touch, controlled by strangers you'll never meet, resulting in an outcome that changes absolutely nothing about your actual reality. And that right there is the core psychological split. It's not that you hate fun, it's that you crave agency. Sports fandom relies heavily on parasocial investment, allocating huge emotional resources to a one-way relationship. You scream at the TV, but the TV doesn't scream back. But for the non-fan, that math doesn't check out. You unconsciously prioritize direct engagement. You want reciprocal loops. You want to pull a lever and see the gears turn with your own eyes. This aligns perfectly with what psychologist Mihai Csikszentmihalyi identified as flow states. Flow happens when skill level meets challenge level in real time. It's that feeling of losing yourself in a project, a conversation, or a run. Fans simulate flow by proxy, hitching a ride on an athlete's focus. But if you're indifferent to the game, it's likely because your brain refuses to outsource that high. You find your optimal absorption in participation, not spectating. You'd rather play a terrible game of guitar than watch a perfect game of football, because the mistakes belong to you. The victories belong to you. So if you've ever felt alienated at a Super Bowl party, realize this: you aren't defective. You aren't missing the point. You're just playing a completely different game. A higher stakes game where you are the protagonist, not the audience. You are doing something quietly radical in a world designed to turn everyone into a consumer of content. You are choosing to be fully present in your own life. And that specific type of internal processing, it usually comes with a very distinct neurological profile. Click the video on your screen right now to understand why quiet people process information faster and deeper than the crowd. Trust me, you'll want to see the science on this.